Wait. I know. The title of this video could be a little bit of clickbait, a little bit rage bait, but hear me out. My name is Sancho West, and this is Sancho West Wrestling. We talk about all things wrestling, and I have an interesting topic for here to present to you, the audience, and this is going to be off the dome, so forgive me if I do ramble, but I really think about this. What if John Cena was booked by Tony Khan, and would it be better than what's currently being booked by the machine of the WWE of Triple H and all the writers? Now, the reason why I bring this up is that recently AJ Styles versus John Cena is a match that feels like an AEW showcase dream match type of situation. Zero build, very minimum type of story in terms of this match. I know there's a lot of legacy, there's a lot of history between John Cena and AJ Styles, especially their great match at the Royal Rumble. They have phenomenal promos, and if you look at my previous video when the match was announced on X, I break down those promos, but there's some great things. You got Mr. TNA and Mr. WWE. It really feels like an AEW type of dream match, right? We got John Cena, WWE, on his way out. We have AJ Styles on his way out, always talking about retiring. Mr. TNA going head to head in a showcase match that has no promos because John Cena has 0 appearances until Crown Jewel at Perth. All we got so far was AJ Styles saying, "I can't wait to beat John Cena." That's literally all we've got, and most likely the WWE will use a lot of video packages and things of that sort to build up the hype. It is a shame that we're not going to get John Cena and AJ Styles in the ring for the things that are mentioned, especially the promos, and what we're basically headed into the last final days. You could count it on one hand of John Cena's appearances. But back to the title of this video and to the question, why do I think that John Cena's showcase type of booking, the AEW Tony Khan style, would have worked better for John Cena's retirement tour? We can only look at what was been presented to us so far. And I commend that the WWE tried to squeeze in a great story for John Cena's last run. The idea of let's go ahead and turn John Cena heel, and then eventually we're going to see where it ends up. Now, if you want to break that down, right? John Cena turned heel by The Rock. He sold his soul to The Rock. And what we were supposed to get was this long saga involving The Rock, John Cena, and Travis Scott and Cody Rhodes and things of that sort. That was what was set up. That's what so much invested in. That ate up so many last rides for John Cena. The last WrestleMania appearance from John Cena was a heel. So many appearances overseas in Europe as a heel. Making a Belgian kid cry as a heel. There's so many opportunities that we literally had to sit through the heel promos of John Cena, where he will berate the audience for saying that for the past 20 plus years, we were wrong for believing in him. Somebody that was telling us that we do not have the hustle, loyalty, and respect. Basically, somebody saying that we leached off of John Cena's hustle, loyalty, respect. We had to sit through that for about 6 months or so, and we ate so many appearances riding along this John Cena, the never seen 17 champion, who was not really caring for who we were, who we are, and what we were doing. And we had to sit through that, and then we would have a moment of thank you, John Cena, and the reverence and the love would shower down. We sat through that. Multiple appearances, multiple PLEs, multiple banger matches. Look at the match he had against Randy Orton, how that was ruined. Look at the match against CM Punk, how we had to get out of that one. There's so many of these last type of showcase matches that we had to sacrifice for the story of John Cena being a heel, with eventually he would hopefully come to the light. We don't know that because John Cena's heel goal, his entire outlook of life, was to leave the WWE as the last real champion. If John Cena was a heel going into SummerSlam, I have no doubts in my mind that Cody Rhodes would have not beaten him, because you got to remember, Cody Rhodes was then slated to go film Street Fighter, and he was gone for a couple of weeks, and the way they wrote him off TV was Drew McIntyre basically putting him Claymore right through the commentary table. But let's focus back on John Cena. Heel Cena didn't work out. In a blink of an eye, John Cena cuts a promo and saying, you know what? You're right. I was wrong. I'm back. The last champ is here. If you want some, come get some. And immediately, as if we were supposed to forget. And now we're in this weird limbo with John Cena's retirement tour. We were accepting the quick change from heel to face without any kind of action. There was no in-ring that brought this to light. It was simply a promo for John Cena. And John Cena's a great promo artist. We accepted that. But now all of a sudden we get hit with Wrestlepalooza. And that is the biggest wrench that I've ever seen throughout this entire run in John Cena's retirement tour. We went from a story-laced story of a heel turn. We went from, okay, now it's Super Cena. We got some great matches with the open challenge of Sami Zayn. We're like, all right, we're in for a new showcase type of match. We're going to go down the greatest hits. We went down the road of Sami Zayn. Like, all right, that was a really cool full circle moment when John Cena gave Sami Zayn the open challenge, and Sami Zayn was like, I'm going to give you an open challenge. It was as if there was no strings attached. We're going to watch a banger match between Sami Zayn, United States champion, and John Cena. And then, okay, we were accepted all that. And out of nowhere, in comes Brock Lesnar, right? Brock Lesnar, of course, coming out at SummerSlam and then coming out again in that match against Sami Zayn, just decides to squash and obliterate John Cena. And it makes me go like, what is going on here? If this is a setup for Brock Lesnar versus John Cena at the end on December 13th in Washington, D.C. on Saturday's main event, I would have been, okay, this is fine. You're creating a bookend type of situation. The superhero loses, the superhero comes back and wins. And at that moment, I'm like, okay, if you're going to run that story, you're going to have to give Brock Lesnar the belt to Cody Rhodes. I know, cringe. I know. You're going to have to give that belt to Brock Lesnar so that John Cena could save the WWE and become the last champion, the last real champion, and ride off into the distance with the belt a la Sting when he won the tag team belts with Darby at AEW. So that is what we're kind of thinking, that, all right, maybe they're going to do this kind of mini story, but no, that doesn't happen. At Crown Jewel, we get AJ Styles, and it becomes a showcase type of situation. And like I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, that gets my gears turning in my head. I'm wondering, this seems interesting. The internet seems excited about this match, that the internet feels like the WWE is presenting as if we came up with this, like all of a sudden a 5 million plus impression tweet from John Cena is the reason why we're here. But let's take a step back a little bit, right? Let's pull back. What if John Cena's run was just like this? Where what if we did stop in Randyville and we had a Randyville John Cena, the last match ever, right? With no story attached to it. It was just a way for us just to stop into Randyland and just say, hey, we appreciate this feud. Here's the history of this feud. Here's some video packages of this. And we're going to see John Cena and Randy Orton the last time. Let's go ahead and enjoy and reverence this moment, right? And then you could have had some pomp and circumstance of Randy Orton and John Cena saying goodbye to each other. We leave and we close that chapter completely with Randy Orton. And then the next chapter is CM Punk. CM Punk, I remember you. We're going to go ahead and revisit this as almost like a boss rush in video games. But instead of rushing through it, we're going to take our time. We're going to enjoy CM Punk and John Cena. We're going to have some promos. And it's going to be a nice little month package ending on a PLE type of thing. And then we bring out others, greatest hits and things of that sort. And we go the Miz, we see an R-Truth, and that's why it goes back to the beginning of this video. What if Tony Khan was booking John Cena with the roster of the WWE and the legacy of the WWE? Now, I know the criticisms that AEW does have, that AEW's weekly television sometimes doesn't string together, but AEW's greatest strength is their pay-per-views, and they put on dream matches. Now, this is where things get kind of diluted, right? I want you guys to take a second here and really think about this. R-Truth literally does not hold a candle to John Cena's strength and his legacy and his, I guess, power compared to R-Truth on the way he's booked now, right? AEW, you would have people that are on the lower card, mid card, put on very strong banger matches against the upper card. Now, it wouldn't make sense in a traditional pro wrestling world to be able to put this kind of matches, because you'd be like, there's no way R-Truth would have put on a 30-minute match with John Cena. That's not plausible. And if you look at the WWE's version, we didn't get that. We got a very short R-Truth, John Cena ending in a DQ. But imagine if Tony Khan booked R-Truth versus John Cena, even if it was a heel Cena. I think we would have got like a 30-minute, 40-minute banger, right? I know their age being a factor, but we would have got a long match where R-Truth would have kicked out of an AA, right? We would have had a crazy false finish from R-Truth, and all of a sudden we'd be like, oh my God, things are getting crazy. R-Truth would have hit an AA on John Cena. Like some of the crazy stuff, it would have gone back and forth. And then we would have been able to close the chapter on R-Truth and John Cena and then say, get ready for the next showcase match of AJ Styles. And they would have existed in their own little pay-per-view lane, so to speak, and they would not have any strings attached. And I think that's what makes AEW is sometimes fire, because you're like, oh my God, we're going to get this person versus that person, something we've never seen before, and we're going to see them go at it and give it their all. Now, you could have the criticisms about how AEW does its finishes with false finishes and multiple kicking out of finishers, and how they don't take like a Mexican destroyer the same way as other moves, things that sort. But I'm just simply saying, I believe this right here, the way the crowd and the universe and us fans are reacting to AJ Styles versus John Cena is like, hell yeah, we don't need to see anything. We just want to see these two go at it. I think that right there should be the formula going forward for these last couple of appearances for John Cena. Just give me a Dom match, Dominic Mysterio. Don't really need a build. Just tell me I have John Cena versus Dominic Mysterio. Give me a Carmelo Hayes and John Cena. These were the opportunities that we had, like, I guess what? I'm trying to remember after WrestleMania. He said a certain number of appearances, and it felt like we had a good chunk of them, right? And then we were like, oh, we're cool, right? We're going to have multiple appearances. But instead, a lot of those appearances were just kind of simple run-ins or cutting a promo by himself, things of that sort. I believe that if a Tony Khan type of person who was booking as a fan, which he tends to do, we would have got more showcase matches out of John Cena. We could have had more tag team matches out of John Cena. We would have been able to get a lot of people to John Cena rub, and the feeling of reverence, a feeling of, oh man, this is the last time we're seeing John Cena in this town, would have amplified every single moment to feel like it was a little mini WrestleMania, right? These are the things that I've wondered, and these are the things that I ponder. And I know WWE storytelling is important, but John Cena's retirement tour, his last year, didn't need any cooking, dude. It didn't need any over-seasoning. It didn't need some fancy marinade, if you want a metaphor for it. John Cena's retirement tour is a grade A steak. The dude is still healthy. The dude can go. The dude could bang out a solid match. He doesn't need any kind of crazy heel turn. He doesn't have to have The Rock help him get over. He doesn't need to have Travis Scott, a celebrity, to make the moment bigger. It's freaking John Cena. If John Cena literally low-blowed Cody Rhodes by himself, it would have hit harder than with The Rock and Travis Scott. Because those two added too much to the recipe, and as you can see, too many cooks in the kitchen resulted in a ugly breakup between John Cena, The Rock, and Travis Scott, where literally, like I mentioned, John Cena said, I put myself out for 5 months, put my neck on the line, sacrificed 25 years, and now I'm alone. So that's my point. That's the entire point of this video. I hope if you made it this far, and before you wrote a comment, that it's not a necessary AEW is better than WWE, WWE is better than AEW. No, it's more of like, if we approach John Cena as a showcase touring show, a touring act where he's going to do a last show around to the city, and you get to come on by and watch him wrestle X wrestler for the last time. Boom, boom, boom. I think he would have had a very simple formula, and it would have been easier to follow along, and the crescendo of having a final match against somebody would have been built up to a very, very nice moment where we would have loved so far the journey that John Cena has been on. We would have not really thought about heel run. We would have never criticized this run. We would have never said it needed a story. We would have said, damn, John Cena had a banger match with R-Truth. He had a banger match with CM Punk. He had a banger match with Randy Orton. And this dude, he would take some wins and take some losses along the way. But at the end of the day, the story is, or one of the GOATs of all time in pro wrestling is retiring. And you don't need to overcook it. Hopefully we'll see how these last appearances go, and we'll see what the WWE does to land the plane. It's going to be Saturday night's main event. Hopefully it's not commercial written, and hopefully it is more than 2 hours, because John Cena deserves that. Dare I say, John Cena deserves a whole Monday Night Raw episode or SmackDown episode dedicated to him, where it's just nothing but shower and reverence and love for John Cena. Comment down below and let me know what you think, and hopefully you saw through the little bit of that, clickbait title. I just wanted you to get yourself to thinking about what if, and what ifs are always fun to think about. Thank you so much for watching. Peace. See you on the next one.